Hi, we're Chris and Kate Walker. This is our family. We're so thankful to the congregation of Westminster Presbyterian Church for calling me to serve as their next senior pastor. And we wanted to take just a minute to introduce our family to the congregation.
My name's Alana. I'm 10 years old, and I like to cook and play basketball.
My name is Joel. I'm 8 years old, and I like to read and play basketball.
My name is Annette, and I'm 5 years old, and I like watching Frozen 2 and Little House on the Prairie.
I'm Tia, and I'm 3 years old. I like to watch Mary Poppins and Sound of Music.
I'm Chris. I grew up in Northeast Ohio with my parents and 4 sisters. For most of my church memory, we attended another Westminster Presbyterian Church, a small PCA church in Brecksville, Ohio. After high school, I attended Hillsdale College and majored in classics, and then went to Westminster Theological Seminary. I enjoy watching and playing just about any sport. I enjoy reading and particularly playing board games.
My name is Kate. I'm a native Pennsylvanian. I grew up in Lehigh and Bucks County. I went to Hillsdale College in Michigan for my college years, where I met Chris, and we were married right after college and have been married for 14 years now. I am an English teacher, and the things I enjoy doing would be homeschooling my kids, cooking, reading and being in book clubs, doing triathlons, and engaging in various philanthropic causes.
Kate and I first came to Westminster back in 2009. We joined and became members at the fall of that year when I was teaching at a local Christian school. And in 2012, we both felt that God was calling us to move more towards pastoral ministry. So I took on a very part-time presbytery internship under Dr. Rogers. Did that for about a year, and as that was coming to a close, it coincided right with when Westminster was looking for a youth pastor, and in God's providence and His goodness, He called me to fulfill that role. And so for the last 7 years, I've just absolutely loved being the youth pastor here at Westminster. It's been such a blessing for us, and the congregation's been such a blessing for our family.
Our first child was born right as we moved here, and so that just made it a really special time for us to join a new church, and we've so appreciated all that all of us have grown as a family as we've been here together. We've loved the teaching of the Word that we've been able to experience. The children's ministries for our kids have been amazing. We've loved the opportunities to serve, and we've loved the church's mission of taking the gospel around the world and to our community, and have been just deeply, deeply blessed by the 10 years we've had here.
It's been such a blessing and a joy to serve as a youth pastor for the last 7 years. And while I'm going to miss being directly involved with the students on a weekly basis, there are a few things that I'm particularly excited about this new role that God's calling me to. First, I think probably the highest and greatest calling as a pastor is to spend time studying and preaching God's Word. And so when I look at this role and see that I'll have even more time preparing to preach on Sunday mornings, that's something that really excites me about this job. I think the second thing that is exciting is the opportunity to equip and encourage God's people to use the gifts God has given them to minister to one another. In Ephesians chapter 4, Paul says that God has called pastors and teachers to equip the saints for the work of ministry. What I'm called to do is not to do all the ministry, but rather to equip God's people to serve and to minister to one another with the gifts God has given them. And finally, probably the greatest blessing is just that as a pastor, I often have the front row seat in seeing what God's doing in the lives of His people. I am so thankful to this congregation that they've called me to this role, and I'll have an opportunity to see what God's doing.
We have lots of relationships that we're just looking forward to continuing and deepening, as well as meeting newcomers, people who we haven't been able to know, finding ways to connect with them and to know and love them also. We just hope that we'll be able to continue here as we have, serving God in whatever ways we can amongst this congregation.
As I think back over the last 10 years that we've been a part of Westminster, God has blessed this church in so many ways. But as I look ahead to the next 10 years, I can't wait to see what God is going to do here. I think about a number of ways that God has strategically placed Westminster here in Lancaster County and opportunities God's given His church. I think about the refugee ministry and the opportunities Westminster has in the community here. I think about growing opportunities to share the gospel and to be a witness for Christ here around Lancaster County. I think about the love that this congregation has for God's Word and the hunger it has to continue to grow in its understanding. I think about the session here at Westminster and the desire of many to grow in caring for one another, shepherding God's people and welcoming others here. who knows what God is going to do in the next 10 years, but I can't wait to see how God is going to continue to work in Westminster and through Westminster for his glory in the coming years.